this is an interesting one, I think. Nate from California. Nate, you're going to have to explain exactly what do you want to talk to us about today, because our call screener does a great job of describing things, but I want to hear from you exactly what it is you want to talk to us about.
Excellent, will do, and good to be talking to you guys. So the idea is that, and this show is called Truth Wanted, right? So I thought we should probably talk a little bit about the truth, if you may.
Good idea.
So
never heard that one before.
Yes. Okay. So we all know the story in the Bible, right? Jesus Christ having been born to Mother Mary, and Mother Mary, his mom, not having actual biological relations with anybody.
Allegedly,
with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, allegedly, right, in the story. And then we have Jesus Christ. Now, if you look at it, right, in the animal kingdom, there are tons and tons of examples of, I think it's called hypothetical, right? Asexual reproduction. Or you got different kinds of species of python that are known to do that, or Komodo dragons.
Sure.
Yeah, even at the vertebrate level, because I mean that's how bacteria,
even some birds and
all
stuff,
of those things.
Bacteria and all, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about species that look like us with limbs and the same body plan, right? They all have.
We're all related.
We're all very closely related. Now, so we as human beings, let's assume for a quick second that this just happened. I'm saying it is. I'm speaking the language of possible, impossible, not likely, unlikely, right? So let us say that was the only documented case of asexual reproduction in human beings in the history of mankind.
Okay.
Right? Let's say give the benefit of the doubt.
All right.
Christian fable, the Christian story. Then it also follows then that Jesus Christ should not be male at all. We all are referring to him as a he all this time. In fact, I was listening to the show, right? And you were referring to him as a he, and I was thinking, that's a little funny, because if he is born out of by aparthogenesis, right? Okay. Then he should not be a male at all. He should be a clone.
Yes.
Like a closed match.
So Nate, to me, this kind of discussion is like when people talk about what if the Star Trek universe was real, and what are the implications if this thing happened, and therefore X happened, right? It's like, it's not that I'm saying that what you're saying is invalid, but we're also talking about the same book that also talks about a man walking on water and rising from the dead after 3 days, and changing water into wine. I mean, well, different books talk about those, but you know what I mean? It's the same part of that narrative, right? So it's like, I don't have to give particular credence or special scrutiny to this claim and say, well, here's the logical implications. He wouldn't be a male. I mean, you're probably right. I'm not even disagreeing with you, but
okay. So I think it's worth saying that this is all a conversation that happens with, so let's just take the Bible and start there, kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't even start.
But I actually, that basis is sort of where my question starts, because depending on how you want to say that, right? Like if you accept the story of Jesus's birth, I think there's two versions of it in the Gospels. As the literal, there's
no, I believe it's just
there's different.
If you're talking about up to his birth, then yes, because Matthew has the whole story about going to Egypt and stuff
in the Gospels. There counted as one. They got a bunch of stories about Jesus. So sorry, but
very academic.
in that point, it also talks about throughout the whole book, God is the Father of the world. God being his father and Mary being his mother. And when it uses the word father, it doesn't use a gender-neutral parental term. It uses that specifically. And it also says that the offspring of Mary, who's, son of the Father, and then also God made incarnate. It doesn't say, type out the genome of Jesus the way that we would like in order to understand this human that is also supposed to be 100% God and not human, but also 100% human and not God.
Human.
Yeah. The thing that I have is if you take that one part, but born from Mary through, not abiogenesis, I forget the term, then this. Well, so it doesn't quite say that. It's part of the miracle is that by the word of God, Mary was pregnant, and then we can go back through the history of translations to get to when people started saying, oh, no, she was a virgin, and when people didn't say that because the genealogy of Jesus has to flow through David, and if he's not the father, it creates theological problems. But it's an interesting question in terms of like, okay, but what does a Jesus person being born without a father really mean? Right? It's the same type of question of like, does Adam have a belly button? If he didn't have an umbilical cord.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Exactly. And I just looked it up. And for the correct term, I think is parthenogenesis. While you were talking.
Parthenogenesis.
Partho, Parthoge. So I was just looked it up while you were talking. Yeah, I do fully agree with the perspective. The way the the angle I was coming in from was to say that if we spoke to any Christian, right? Any culturally sophisticated, if you may, Christian, right? They will accept that. Hey, all these things in the Bible, they'll put their money on it, right? A lot of it. They'll say all these things are real. Then the argument is, if everything else is real, even this has got to be real. That you've gotten it all wrong for 2,000 years.
No, but they would just say it's magic, though. They would just say, well, God can do anything, and it just happened that way. Like we know logically, we know scientifically, you can't turn water into wine without using extreme nuclear methods.
Jesus.
Well, you can't. Well, I mean, you can create new elements and stuff, right? But that involves particle physics that wasn't available to
it involves
Jesus.
Significantly less prayer than was previously suggested.
So it's like I don't think if you brought this to any Christian, they would even blink at it. To be honest, I think they would just say well, God can do anything. This is just another one of God's miracles. Is that this happened the way it was, So. And I don't know.
To your point, though, I have heard sort of people, they're not, I don't want to say casual Christian, but Christian is just a part of who they are, but they're mostly serious about it. Say when presented they say God didn't create the world, but God could have created the world with a big bang or with a light or with whatever, so it's God. And then they put it there. So if you came to them with, Jesus was produced through, and I've forgotten the term again already, but through this term, they might find that weird. They might find that interesting, but I think it wouldn't to them contradict the broader meaning of the Bible to them or the place of Christianity in their life.
Yeah.
But it is sort of interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were species of pythons that did that.
Oh yeah, there is I remember having read it somewhere, and I might be wrong, but that's what I remember having read. Pythons and several reptiles, birds, a certain species of eagle actually.
I knew that clownfish could, I think, are one of the species that can change their biological sex in order to balance out the number of male and female fish in there.
Yeah. So Jesus is a clownfish.
Yeah.
Hey,
or Mary
said
is a clownfish.
Yeah.
One or the other. Anyway,
So
I think that's all the time we got for this call, Nate, because we do got to move on. But I do appreciate you calling in with your perspective on that. And,
thanks for calling in.
I would stress, though, for anybody who wants to talk to a Christian and be like, well, scientifically, you have to think about X, Y, and Z. They won't. I guarantee they won't listen. It's just not. When you're already taught to, first of all, have a distrust of the scientific establishment, but also when you're taught that a God can just do anything, then anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
And so the incredulity there doesn't work.
Yeah, because from that perspective, when told something from a scientific standpoint, either it comports with what God has made true or the scientists are lying. And then it's one of those two things. And then also, if it's something that you're telling them that you have to explain, it might just be not one of their interests, and so they're not gonna bite too much.
Yeah, some Christians, they don't.
You get that. It's kind of like this is, what I believe, my religion, but it's not that big, and I'm not gonna pay attention.
Right.
Well, it was a local flood. Is my
Yes.
like, oh really? So the whole point of the story is contradicted by the facts in it.